Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you a little tutorial on how to make some budget-friendly Christmas decorations. I've made them myself, so these are paper chains, and I've also made these advent stars. Hang on, show it at its best. So I've been making these advent stars. Now I've been wanting an advent star in my window for a little while now, and no matter what shop I look at, there's always something like slightly wrong about them. So they're either polka dot or stripy, something I don't want, or they're dead expensive, they come with a light. I just wanted something simple, and I forgot I knew how to make these. So ages ago, my friend Geraldine, who's originally from Denmark, got me a little kit of make your own Christmas tree decorations. So I dug out the instructions, which I still had. The paper was long gone, but the instructions were still there, and I just scaled it up. So I've used A4 paper. I'm going to show you how to make these in a minute, and I just think they look great. So I'm going to show you how to make these. I'll also talk you through how to make paper chains, but I'm pretty sure you already know the basic idea about how to do those. And you can also have one of these in your window if you like. These are so budget friendly, you can make them from any kind of paper. So I went out and I bought a pack of coloured paper from just the local craft store. It costs, I think, £3.50 for, I think it was 150 sheets. I've used hardly any of that for these and for these, and I've made a couple of these for my house. You could use A4 printer paper, you could use magazines, you could use newspaper. These look awesome however you make them. Once you start making them, the process is so much easier than you think it's going to be. So let's head up to my studio and I will talk you through the process so you can also make your own budget-friendly Christmas decorations. So if you're new, by the way, hello, my name's Emma. I'm an illustrator based in Sheffield. And recently I've been really enjoying just existing and taking pleasure in the small things. The other day I went shopping. I knew I was going to make some paper chains, so I went to the shop and got some paper. So this is my big pack. But while I was in the shop, I went and had a look through all of their Christmas decorations. And initially it was really lovely. And then I noticed the plastic smell. They were nice, they were lovely, but everything, like nothing was glass anymore, it was all plastic. And I know times have changed since I was a kid, but it just felt a bit soulless. And also it was expensive. And let's face it, there are better things to spend money on at the moment. So as part of my wanting to just enjoy existing and enjoy the small things in life, I decided to make my own decorations. Not just the paper chains, which I went in for, but these paper stars. So my decorations came from this. Just so you know, I didn't make up this star. It's a well-known thing that people do. I think it's very popular in Scandinavian countries. But this came from a set, so thank you, Geraldine, if you're watching. The instructions are on the back. It took me a while to kind of figure out what the pictures meant, so I have spent a little bit of time getting this streamlined for you guys. And basically what you're going to do is get 8 sheets of A4 paper. For reference, the paper I'm using is thin paper, and I think that probably makes it easier to fold it all together. So my paper is 80 GSM, if that helps. But we're basically going to make 8 of these, and these will all slot together to make a star. Now I've also got some glue. Origami, you don't need to glue it, but I don't trust my damp windows to not unfurl this through night. So I've been putting a dab of glue where it connects, just to make it last longer, but you don't have to. If you don't have glue, this will stay together without glue. Which makes it amazing. And also you can scale this down again as well. So once you know the basic idea, I'm scaling it up to make an advent star for my window, but you can also make tiny ones. Like this was intended to be tiny decorations for a Christmas tree, about that big. Whatever size paper you've got will work. So get your 8 sheets of, I'm using A4 paper, and we're going to cut them into squares, and I'll show you a very handy way of making them into squares. Okay, so how do you make your A4 paper or any kind of rectangle paper into a square? Easy peasy, let me show you. So what you want to do is take one corner and fold it over, keeping this line in line with this line. and keeping this corner as pointy as possible. What I'm going to do now before I unfold it is get a pencil and just lightly draw along that line that we've just created. And when you open this up, this section here will be a square. So all you need to do is cut either with scissors, or I've got this tiny little crafting guillotine cutter thing. So all you need to do now is cut along there. And I know I've got this, but it doesn't mean you need one. Scissors are perfect. In fact, they're even more perfect because I didn't do a very straight line there. And then you have your very own square. And doing it this way actually is very handy because this is the first step. If you have square paper to start with, just start with the square paper without the fold. And I'll do that here for you so you can see how to do it. So the first step in the instructions I'm looking at here is to fold this up corner to corner. Okay, once you've got that, you unfold it. So you've got it like this. The fold line is going across. Then what you're going to do is make a kite shape. So you're going to bring this corner to this line, making sure that this line and this line meet. Like that. And then your next step is you're going to do the same on this side. You're going to bring this corner to the fold line, making sure that this line and this line meet. It helps to keep your finger on this bit of paper. Then you do the same on the other side. So this corner is going to come up to the fold line, making sure that this line and the fold line meet. And then keeping your finger on here, do the same here. Make this corner, go to this line, making sure that this line and the fold line meet. Okay, this is the bit that I got confused with on these instructions, because I suppose it's difficult for them to tell you how to do it through pictures. So what we need to do now, when you've got it like this, make sure your orientation is like this. So you've got your top folded bits on the right hand side. You're going to pick it up and you're going to flip it over like you're turning the page of a book. Okay. Now what we need to do is make a fold line here. And how we're going to do that is simple, but it will feel complicated the first time you do it. So just take a deep breath now and absorb the information. It'll feel better when you're doing it. So if you're doing it alongside me, take a deep breath, feel free to pause. This bit is the trickiest bit. The rest of it will fall into place once this bit's done. So you've got this on the back side now. You're going to need to make a fold down here, but to make the fold in the right place, you're going to fold it from at this corner is going to be the fold line. And you're going to fold, so this line here touches itself and is in line with itself. Okay, so you see how this line is going, this paper is going to line up, but you've got to make sure that the corner there is the fold line. If you find it easier, you might want to pick it up and just make sure that you're not folding too far around into this corner. So make sure the fold is on that corner there, and then once you've got that corner set, try and line those two bits up and then do that. So what we've done is fold that up there. This line here, this edge, folds onto itself nice and straight. And then if you hold it like that, you can see both sides are parallel. Or both sides are parallel. Okay, make sure it's a nice crisp line. And then unfold it. You're going to do the same on the other side. So this is where you're going to fold, this is where the bend's going to be, and then you're going to fold this line onto itself so it's nice and straight. Again, you might want to pick it up to make it easier. Okay, so that's mine. I've got a fold line here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. So the fold line is here and the fold line is here. So if you pick it up, just to make sure you've orientated it right, you should have these two flaps on the left hand underside and no flaps that you can lift up on the right hand underside. So your flaps should be on the left hand underside and your fold should be on the other side. To make the shape that you want, to make this shape, you're going to get your finger and you're going to put it on there, and this bit, the folded side, is going to push in like that, and this bit inside here is also going to push in. So these two are going to fold in the same way, and you will eventually end up with that. So let me do that one more time. So you push your finger and push that in, and then this goes in, and then you fold it, and it should look something like that. If you fold in the wrong place, don't worry too much. Always have another go. And how this eventually works is you've got these two flaps, and these two flaps will fold over and encase this point on the next star. So for example, I've made this one. I'm making sure they're the same way around. So I've got the flaps on the left hand side of both. I made this in exactly the same way as I made this. So what's going to happen, I'm going to open these and I'm going to put that in there, make the point go all the way up to the top, and I'm going to fold the flaps of my right hand one over the point of the one next to it. And that is the start of your star. If you want to, like I did earlier, you can put a dab of glue on this, and then it's not going to slip out when you fold it in. So with this point that I made earlier, I'm going to make sure they're the same orientation. So this bit is on the right hand side and the flaps are on the left. And I'm going to open these flaps. I am going to pop a dab of glue on there, just a little bit, doesn't need a lot. And these flaps are going to go over this right hand point. I'm going to line that point up to the other side. And then I'm going to fold these over the point of the star next to it. And then when you fold that back down, you can see how that star's coming together. Let's do another one together. So So my next one's a green one. I've already started this one. So if you're starting from scratch, I'll start from scratch with you. How about that? Get your square into a diamond shape. So it's not like this, it's like this. You're going to bring this corner and fold it up there to make a triangle. And make sure that your fold lines are nice and crisp, so score your nail across it or something. So once you've done the line like that, I like to get the back of my nail and just push it either side. So it's nice and crisp. Open that back up. You're going to bring this corner down to the fold line, keeping this line and the fold line next to each other. And you're going to do the same with this point. It's going to go down to the fold line, keeping this line and the fold line next to each other. Again, you might want to put your finger on this bit to stop it moving. And you're going to do the same with the bottom. This corner is going to go up to the fold line, and this line and the fold line are going to be in line with each other. And then this corner is going to be folded to the fold line, and you're going to make sure this line and the fold line are in line with each other. Keep your finger on this bit to stop it folding in as you're folding. Okay. Then when you pick it up, so your flaps are on the right hand side, remember? And then we're going to fold it over like a book, like the page of a book, like that. So now your flaps are underneath on the left-hand side, and you don't have any flaps underneath on the right-hand side. So now we're going to make that fold line down here, and we do that by making this the axis of the fold. So you're going to fold, making sure the point of the fold starts there, and you're going to fold this line onto itself so it's nice and flush. So I like to pick mine up and just make sure my fold line is starting there at the corner where the flap ends. And then I line it up. It takes a little while to get it lined up, don't worry. Just stick with it. And then you might not want to do that solid, crisp fold until you've made sure that it's in the right-ish place. So I just need to move mine up a millimetre. And when it looks about right, I'm going to do a nice, crisp line down there so I know which is the right one, and unfold it. And we're going to do the same on the other side, making sure we do a fold down here where the bend of the fold is going to be at this corner, and we're going to fold this line onto itself. Okay, so I've got both of my fold lines. Just to double check, your flaps are underneath on the left hand side. So what we're going to do is push this side in to itself, like that. And we're going to push this side in the same direction, and they will make that shape. Let me do it this way so you can see. I'm going to push in from this direction on this side and on the other side, and then it will make that shape. And then if you get the rest of your star, with your flaps on the left hand side, you want to make sure that the point of the star that you're going to fold around doesn't have flaps. It's a bit shorter as well, but you might not be able to tell that by eye. So for example, this one has flaps. If you put the flaps around that one, hang on, that way, it's not going to be right. So you want to make sure that the point that you're going to be adding on to doesn't have any flaps, and the point that you are adding on does have flaps. And then you're going to fold these flaps around this point, and I'm going to put a dab of glue, but that's optional. You don't have to. That is, it stays together without that. It's just I'm hanging mine in my window, so I want a bit more stability. Make sure the points are lined up. And this bit gets a bit trickier the more the star gets made, because it doesn't really want to be flattened out. So try and do your best to make sure these points of both parts are lined up. And then fold these around your star. So I'm going to carry on and do the rest of my points. And I'm going to alternate mine red, green, red, green. You can use whatever paper you want. Like I said before, use plain office paper. A nice white one would be great. Use wrapping paper, use newspaper, use packaging. Like anything can look beautiful when it's been made into something like this. So experiment and have a go. So then when you get to the last one, this might feel the trickiest because everything's folded in and it's got less give. So I just unfold this. Carefully, because it is made of paper. Again, you don't need to glue it. I'm just being belt and braces. A dab of glue for me on those. So you need to make sure that this bit is tucked inside. It's just a bit more fiddly. And then just do exactly the same thing. Fold it around. Take a bit of wiggling to get it snug. And then same on that side. And there you have your origami paper Christmas decoration star. And I've made 3 of them this year, and the first one felt a bit fiddly, but this one felt super easy to do. So if you're finding it tricky when you very first start and you're finding it fiddly, you're bound to, because you're just finding your feet with all the folds and things. But stick with it, because this is beautiful. You can hang this in your window. You can make miniature ones and hang them from a tree, hang the miniature ones from a window. You can make it into a something hanging around your light. And the way that you hang them is really simple. So either you get a hole punch, but sometimes that hole can be quite big. I hole punched the other holes in my other 2, and I was very close to the edge. So to make it easier, I'm going to take a needle. In fact, that one's already got thread on it. So I'll use you. Be very careful, obviously, if you're working with sharp things, and keep them away from kids and pets. And choose which point you want to be at the top. And just sew through, just once, through that top seam. Put your needle away safely, don't sit on it. And then, once it's up, tie a knot. And what I've done in my windows, I've hung it from the handle that opens the window. But you could get some sticky tape, you could get some blue tack, you could get a little stick-on hook, however you want to display it, and hang it either from your tree, in your window, on your front door. If it's going to be dry, it is paper. You could hang them from your internal doors. In fact, that's what I might do with this one. I might put a little bit of sticky tape on the top of the door and have this hanging on top. Okay, the next decoration we're going to make is a paper chain. I'm sure you probably already know how to do this, but I'm going to show you anyway. I am using my trusty old slicing cutter. You can use scissors. You're just going to cut strips of paper. I like the width of A4 paper, which is just normal printer paper size if you don't use the A sizes. This size here, so I'm going to cut my strips short ways, sorry, not long ways. You can do them long ways, it just makes the train more elongated, and you might like the look of that. I don't really like the look of that. So I'm going to cut about 3.5 centimetre strips, so about 1.5 inches maybe. And I'm going to do lots of different colours. This is a great activity to do with young children. Young children might be interested in the Advent Star as well, but because it's so fiddly, older children might be more capable with keeping up with the Advent Star's folds and things. But if you've got kids and you know your kids are capable, you go for it. I think there's nothing more fun than making your own decorations. So if you've got kids, or if you're a teacher, teaching assistant, this is a great activity. The paper chains is such a simple way of getting kids involved and getting cheap decorations. So I worked out at about 3.5 centimetres, you get mostly lots of even strips. So the reason I chose that is because I'm just very simply using the edge of my cutter. So where the colour stops, I am cutting there. Let me just double check what measurement that is. 3 3/4, nearly 4 centimetres. Which is Yeah, 1.5 inches. And you end up with a bunch of strips that are about the same size. So you go ahead and cut your paper, and I'm going to cut mine. And we'll move on to the next step. The last strip might be a bit less even, so just try and even it up as much as you can. I've not done a very good job there, but just try and make the last one as even as possible. It's not going to matter in the long run. I'm going to do another series. I'm trying to keep mine in order, colour order. Because I like that. You might want to put all the colours in the middle of the table and just go for it and do random colour orders. That's up to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's the other one? Where's the green? 6. And let me just make sure these are in the right order. Green, blue, red, orange, pink, yellow. Now I've got all of my strips. You're going to need glue for this one. By the way, you could just use scissors for cutting these, obviously. Use what you've got. I am using glue. You can use tape. You can use tape if you want to, but you'll see it on the other side. And also if you use plastic sellotape, you can't recycle them. If you use paper tape, it's not see-through, so I like to use just a dab of glue. You're going to glue just on one tiny edge, so you're just going to do that much, like a pencil width of glue. You're going to fold that onto itself, and you're going to end up with one of your links of a chain. And you're going to get your next colour, thread it through, hold them, glue it, do the same. You could glue it beforehand if you wanted to, whatever's good for you. I like to thread it through and hold it while I glue it. And very soon you're going to end up with something terribly beautiful. I was going to just use one colour in my Christmas decorations downstairs. I thought I'm going to be really classy. I'm not going to have ceiling decorations. I'm going to use one colour. It's going to be red and it's going to be beautiful. And it was boring. So I decided, for me, you do you, but for my house, it just looked cluttered, you know. I thought that hanging them from the ceiling would make it look even more cluttered, but actually it looks less cluttered than it did just draping them from pictures. So I stuck mine to the ceiling. You can do whatever you like. Drape them over photographs. Just make sure you keep them away from naked flames. So keep them away from candles and keep them away from fireplaces. If you have an open fire or a log burner, or if you like lighting candles, I may suggest not to hang them from your ceiling, because it would be horrible for these to come unstuck and just sweep past a candle. They're paper, so just a glancing sweep from a candle, they could set fire. So bear that in mind if you use candles, or if you have an open fire, maybe keep the two separate. But if you're just looking for a very cheap way to decorate your house, and you are not going to be lighting candles near them, you go for it. You go, girl. You might even just want to do a very small chain and hang that from a door. I wonder if you could even make it into a garland, into a hoop. Potentially you could find some way of sticking it to a door so it looked like a wreath. But I think that just hanging from a door would look really cute. I've also done a couple like this where I've just hung very small ones from a photo frame, like in my kitchen. And then I've done the really long ones from the centre of my light to the corners of the room, just like we did in the 80s and 90s. And tell you what, I did not feel more Christmassy when they were on my ceiling. But we don't like candles and our log burner hasn't been on for ages, so I felt safe enough to do that. The only real danger with them is that if they fall down from the ceiling, my cat Rolly might play with them, and if he does, I'll just stick them back up or make some new ones. So I got some coloured paper, and I know that not everyone can afford stuff like this, but if you think about, if you were going to be buying Christmas decorations, tinsel, stuff like that from the shops, you'd be spending way more than £3.50. And I've made a whole room's worth of decorations. I've made a couple for my kitchen, I've made that star, I'm going to make this chain, so I've got all of these ready for a big chain, and that'll span my ceiling. And I've still got all of this paper left, and this cost me about £3.50. Definitely no more than £3.99. It didn't go into the £4. 150 sheets, and I've got all of these left over. I could use them all if I wanted to, save them for next year, or do other crafts with them. So much you can do with just such a small amount. And if money's tight, I know it might be difficult to think, oh well, a big pad of paper, why would I spend the money on that? But if you're going to be going and buying tinsel and stuff like that, just think, for the cost of that, you've got all this paper that you can use to make your own decorations. If you've got kids, it's an activity, keeps them entertained, builds those memories. I'm not saying you've got to buy paper. Like I said, use newspaper, use A4 paper, use the kind of package paper you get through the post sometimes. Use what you've got, as long as it's papery and you can stick it together. But this is a whole activity. If you've got, even if you don't have kids, I don't have kids, but I've really enjoyed sitting down for an afternoon, watching telly, making paper chains. It's a memory that you're making, as well as decorations. And you can use these year after year. Just keep them in a tin or a tub and keep them dry. So don't put them in a wet cellar. Like put them under your bed or something. And as long as these haven't been crushed with heavy things on top of them, so just keep them in a box of their own. You can bring these out year after year. There's no reason why you can't. So I'm going to carry on with these, and you'll see what my amazing chain looks like at the end. How cool are they? I've just hung mine off my stairs because it's an area of my house that doesn't get a lot of love. It's nice to have something a bit jazzy. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope now the secrets of making your own Christmas decoration star have been unlocked for you. It's a really nice way to make a budget-friendly Christmas decoration, and you can use this year after year. If you did like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you liked, commented, and maybe even subscribed to the channel. It's not all tutorials in this channel. This is just a little aside from my usual kind of vloggy content. But if you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate the like. It costs you nothing, but it means quite a lot to me, meaning that I can reach other people just like you. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. So until then, bye.